look, I'm talking so much better now. Thanks to you. That's it.
Exactly. That's what friends are for, right? Vibha,
Exactly.
what do you think about this?
Yeah, I agree. I think I want to talk a little bit about the whole standard of beauty, of how it is. After all, it is a social construct, right?
Right.
The whole being thin is beautiful, being a little overweight is not. It's embedded in ourselves because we're so exposed to media, which we will be talking about later. But because of that, and because of the constant comments that everyone gets,
Right.
it is instilled our minds that, oh, I'm ugly if I'm not in shape. And what is in shape anyway, right? Like the only thing is you need to be healthy. And about the affirmations, I think it's the simple act of looking at yourself in the mirror and just smiling and saying, I am beautiful. And I've like learned, I'm practicing that, and I even write it down, and it makes a huge difference.
True.
Just to look at yourself in the mirror in the morning with that morning bloated face, and just telling to yourself that you're beautiful, regardless of what other people say, because people are going to always tell bad things about you. It's human nature to criticize.
But also, we can't like say people are gonna say stuff about you, because most of the times the people we see are not even thinking about us, but we just assume that they are probably thinking about us.
Yes.
That's also true. Yeah. But I mean, I'm talking about the direct comments that we get.
In fact, I think that is also a result of low self-esteem.
True.
You're almost criticizing yourself inside your head, saying, "Oh no, yeah, they're definitely pointing that comment at us. Yeah, they're definitely thinking about us." Because you are being so conscious about yourself. You're conscious because you're affected by what others are doing and what others are saying.
Yeah.
So don't let that get into your head. I mean,
And
definitely learn from
Can I
it,
just
but
add
don't let that affect
something
you.
like with regards to what Rochelle and Vibha just said? Can I just add something?
yeah, for sure.
Okay,
Go ahead.
so I just want to throw some light on comments per se, because see, there are two types of comments. I mean, there are two variations of how comments work. It's the intention, the comment that is given. Like the person who comments. What's important is their intention. People, okay, taking the fat example, someone being overweight example, they might say that you're fat, but their intention might be a worry for you, saying that this might lead to diseases for you in the future, because obviously it's biologically proven that scientifically proven that if you're a little bit overweight or you're obese, it can cause diseases in the future. So it's pretty important to know how you structure your comment or sentence. You can just probably ask them to say that you should be fit, you should work out more, so that it doesn't cause you harm in the future. And there's also the most obvious thing, how you perceive the comment. If just someone says you're fat, you're obese, a person can take it in a positive way and a negative way. A person might weep over it for a couple of days, or they might not even care about what they're saying. And the same applies to you need to work out, you need to be fit. There are two options for it. You can either take that into mind and work out for the better, so that it changes your it's not exactly fitting into the beauty standards of society that are there but shouldn't be there. But you might actually work out, make yourself fit, or you might weep about that too. So it's about how you phrase your comment and how a person who's given the comment to perceives it. So I personally think that's pretty important too.
That's very important.
So I think it's a lot easier done than said, right?
Yeah.
Like
True,
everyone has
true,
their
but
struggles and yeah.
I agree, but I personally think it's important to make sure that you perceive a comment in a right way, so that if you think you're actually doing something wrong, you bring that into practice. Because I've had a couple of comments of different types like that, and I tried making sure that I put that into practice to change myself for the better. Because sometimes what people say, they say it just because they care about you and not to insult you or something like that.
True.
So
And
that's my only opinion on
and
this.
that is such an amazing thing that you just mentioned, because you got some comments and you started working on yourself, because that is very rare actually, especially in today's world, because people they find it easy to feel victimized about something anyone says, so they just kind of be submissive and sit there and weep about it rather than taking action. And I know
That's the thing. It's okay to weep about it. It's okay to rant. But what's not okay is you don't. Yeah, because if you know the fact that you're wrong, or now you can't see you're wrong, that you're actually going through this, that you're not doing something the right way. Yeah, exactly. Thank you for stating that. I didn't get the exact words. If you have scope for improvement, what's wrong is not realizing the fact that you have scope for improvement and not even trying to improve. Like if someone doesn't if someone's manner of talking is wrong and they know that and they're still, ignoring it or turning a blind eye towards it, that's wrong.
I know.
That's wrong because
I feel
sometimes
like
being rude is actually wrong.
right.
And I think it also depends on who says it, right?
Right.
True.
Because there's this quote that I found out recently. I think Venkat knows it. It's that don't take advice from. No, actually, don't accept criticism from people you wouldn't take advice from.
Right.
And that really stuck to me because it makes so much sense. Because if my friends are going to tell me something that is for my benefit, I know that it is for me. It is because they care about me. If someone in the street is going to shout at me and say something bad about me, I'm just going to be like, okay, that's not going to matter. And maybe I will be hurt. I am a sensitive person and I will be hurt, but I should understand that it doesn't matter. I don't know that person and probably never going to know them.
I know, right? And I feel like, Nivedha, do you want to add something into this?
Yeah, sure. So another thing about all these self-esteem problems, it's the insecurities that we have within ourselves.
True.
And the funny thing is, like, recently I just evaluated like the various insecurities that I have, and I went to the root cause of it. And most of these were like problems that emerged in my childhood, like childhood inferiority complex and stuff. So when there are these deep compressed traumas from like your childhood, how do you work with that? That's like my biggest question. If your insecurities are hindering your self-esteem and are weighing down your confidence, how do you work with that? And especially when that insecurity is like very complex. So probably that is something that we need to address.
So true. Actually, insecurities, they're like a part of us, but in a bad way, actually, but at the same time, there are people in this world who take their insecurities to the next level and kind of embrace it, but that's very rare, and I always admire such people. It's just,
and that is what we have to do.
Exactly, but it's very hard.
It is very hard.
But I've always wanted to know if insecurities are only physical, because most of mine are physical and I don't understand how it can be in any other way. Like, do you guys know?
No, not really. Insecurities can be highly emotional, because that's when you become vulnerable to different kind of emotions.
True.
Okay, you shun yourself from being with people because you're scared that you might get too close and then you will get hurt later.
True,
That's the
right.
kind of insecurity.
And if you guys, I know you guys know me, but I choose my friends, like I'm very picky in terms of my friends, and that is mainly because of what you just mentioned. It's mainly because of that, because
honestly, it's good.
Yeah, I choose my friends in such a way that they will understand me, because my character is something that not all people can bear with. So Rochelle, you've been through thick and thin for me, and I'm so glad I found you. Like, I mean, actually you found me, but yeah. So I choose my friends like that mainly because of what Rochelle just mentioned. I don't like being left out or feeling bad later on. So I just be conscious about that and logically choose my friends right now so I don't have to weep about it later. So yeah, but
there's just one more aspect that I want to cover. Do we have time?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, so we just saw about how it is when you're victims of others' opinion, but then one aspect which you never look at is if you sometimes might hurt somebody else's self-esteem.
That's right.
It is very you cannot be insensitive about what you're saying to people. It's very important that you do share your comments about them for their betterment, but then there are a lot of things that you have to keep in mind. The tone you're telling it to them in. You can't just go to them and be like, oh my god, you're fat. Obviously they're going to be really affected by that, right?
I know.
You got to share to them in a way that will make them understand, okay, it might affect my health, so I got to do something about that. You should not go tell it to them as if it's like physical problem that they have.
Exactly.
I mean, I've had a lot of
very good
experiences like that. Not that I'm fat, but then for a lot of other things, insensitive comments.
I know.
That's a huge problem, and the problem is we don't realize that we are hurting somebody else when we say things like that. Is my video lagging?
That's the thing,
No.
People say everyone should have a metaphorical filter so that they ensure that, whatever comes out of their mouth is proper and, is not insensitive or does not criticize anyone.
And honestly,
that's pretty important.
can I just say that it is super hard
Yeah,
these days, especially these days, kind of filtering it out, or not just filtering it out, just making sure what you say, even if it's a good thing, how it comes out of your mouth through that mask. Nobody can even tell if it's good, or like if you're happy, or if you're sad, or if you're telling it with a good intention. I mean, I find it kind of funny, but at the
Very
same
true.
time, it's super serious. Like,
yeah, it is. I know that I've heard a lot of people. The funny thing is, when you want to say one thing, when it comes out of your mouth, it comes with a lot of other things mixed with it.
I know.
Like, let's say you're talking to a person about how they scored low marks in an exam. Somehow you just end up involving your friends are bad. You do this, you do that, blah, 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 blah. And the person
True.
becomes like, you think this about me, this is your opinion about me. But I'm like, no, this is not my opinion. No, it just came out wrong. I'm sorry.
I know.
It happens. And
And
when you
I think
do
I want to add
realize,
something.
Yeah, go ahead.
when you do
No, go ahead,
realize
Rochelle.
that once you realize you've done something wrong, apologize, undo it. You can't completely undo it, but then you kind of can. You
Can make it better.
reduce the impact. Yeah, exactly. You can
Yeah.
reduce the impact, and don't just be like, oh, I heard that person, I should go away from that. No, that's not going to make them feel better. You just go ahead and be like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean that. The person's going to be angry for a while, and then they're going to be like, yeah, I've done that too. So people are going to sympathize with you. So don't run away from people you've hurt. And if you've hurt somebody, please
Also, don't
apologize.
apologize for everything, because there might be something. There might be something
That's the problem I have.
dark too. I know. That's why I mentioned
That's another problem I have. I apologize too much. I say thank you too much. If someone returns my pen or my belonging, I say thank you. It's weird.
No, I think
It's
that's
weird,
all right.
but it
That's all right.
happens.
I mean,
Okay.
it's just a thank you. That's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah,
It's
you're
not a
just
bad
thanking them
thing
for
to say
being
thank you.
responsible.
But honestly, thank you is a different thing from apologies, because when you apologize, you're telling yourself that you did something wrong. And most
You're
of the
wrong.
case, it might not be the case.
Correct.
Also, when you keep apologizing over and over, the apology loses its
Value, yes.
cover.
Value.
Yeah, exactly. Value. It's almost like, yeah, she
And
just said
moreover,
sorry for
you-
everything. She doesn't mean it.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't
No,
want
no.
that.
Another disadvantage of apologizing too much is sometimes when in situations when it's actually not your fault, you tend to blame yourself, which is another reason for low self-esteem, which can be another major factor for low self-esteem. When someone indulges in a fight, and I suppose I indulge in a fight with someone, and it's not my fault, but I still do apologize, I might think bad about myself when it's actually the other person's fault. Hypothetically speaking, but yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, when you're in a fight, I assume that there will be something dark about both of your sides. So it is good to have that thought behind your back, but don't completely submerge in blaming yourself, right?
Yourself,
You have to see both the sides.
Which is why I think anytime any fight happens, there should be a conversation where you talk it out. Because when you don't, you keep saying, oh, I'm at fault. The other person says, no, I'm at fault. And then
Or
at the end
maybe
of the day,
otherwise.
you would just, oh yeah, exactly. Or otherwise, exactly. So you need to talk it out. You need to have a conversation and figure out what's happening and just solve it. Solving the problem. Yeah.
I mean, I feel like this whole talking it out situation is decreasing a lot, especially these days when it comes to COVID-19 and all the anxiety we are going through, because we are not having this social interaction. Because as humans, we need to see someone's face and see the emotion, because even through text, we can't really tell if the person is mad or happy. And
I know. Okay, so if I may, there's
go
this
ahead.
one friend of mine who, every time I send any message to him, the only reply he gives is Okay, so when you're talking on the phone, when you give the modulation. When you're interested, you're like and then when you start, you're like But then when it's on text, it's literally just HMMMM. I got so annoyed. I'm like, okay, fine, I'm gonna go bye. Because when you're talking, you can't see when you're texting, you can't express your emotion behind that.
I know, right?
Which is why I think texting is a very not proper grounds to share anything personal or anything emotions related.
I know, especially
not a good grounds.
Especially since we were talking about fighting and solving fights, texting, no.
People think texting is a very safe space because you don't have to face the other person directly, but then that's not true. In the long run, it's not going to help you. This is going to
even in the short run.
I have most of my fights via text. I think Venkat and I have most of our fights via text. But it's nothing personal. It's just our usual...
The thing about Vibha is that she doesn't have high intensity fights.
Yeah. I've seen your fight.
She
Very.
does.
That
She
is
does.
untrue.
I have first-hand experience of that.
Oh, we're
What
starting
I
to
mean by
know
high
each other.
intensity
No,
is I don't think
seriously,
it is.
no.
I think she has good arguments when it comes to like certain things, but it's not like very deep. She doesn't get highly hurt because of that. You don't, right?
Also,
No,
you know,
confession. For the past 2 years, from ninth started, from since after ninth, the number of fights that Vibha and I have are basically just stupid arguments about who's right and who's wrong.
Exactly.
Because
I think
until the seventh, eighth, ninth, our fights, seventh and eighth, mostly eighth, our fights used to be about a conflict of opinion, a small conflict of opinion which led to something even worse. But after that, like ninth mid and ninth end, we've been limiting conflict of opinions to conflict of opinions, which doesn't affect other conversations that we have, and that's pretty important,
that's not a fight. That's not a
It's not a
fight.
fight. It's
No,
just an
exactly.
argument.
No, see. No. Exactly, that's an argument. But what happened was sometimes an argument can lead to a fight. I mean, only both of us know,
I
how
think
much
it
we've fought
correlates.
like
I think it
8th and
correlates a
9th.
lot to maturity and how we've grown over the years.
Very true.
And like we
Exactly.
understand that you are different,
how we're
you have
able
a
to
different
handle the
opinion, and I'm
situation
gonna
properly.
respect that. Yeah, and like you're different, I'm different. That's why we're friends, right? Like so that we learn from each other. And there's no point in
Exactly.
yeah.